about gravity. Any day above ground, live it. Yeah, I had to do this. I had to do this. I know it's early for y'all, but I want to try to get ahead of this before everybody else because again, this is all 2024 stuff. This is all 2024 stuff. We need to know everything. Yeah, what I said. They're gonna try to bury these stories. They're even trying to downplay it already. But this is what we're here for at New Black Media. We're gonna make sure that you are not without the information to make informed decisions because you know these a-holes are doing something that is not cool.
Do not get off the bus. You are being lied to.
Yes, do not get off the bus. You are being lied to. And that bus is New Black Media. So it has come down on the wire that not only did Hunter Biden get indicted yesterday, which we'll do before we leave, but if you are in the market for a car or, something related to cars in America, yeah, I think you need to be wary of what just happened. Yes, the big three, Ford, GM, and Stellantis. Now, I know Stellantis, I know that sounds like a weird name, but those are the big three in Detroit. Now, the last one, they're the ones that own Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep. So we're going to start there because they went on strike this morning. They looked at the union and they said, go get us a fair deal on money and health benefits. They said, nah, we're going to try. They went to the boys and they could not come to a thing. I can imagine it sounded something like this.
When I see you, nigga, it's gonna be on. I want you to know that. When you call me on the phone and you saying all this, and then you get on the live stream and you playing this shit. You should be ashamed of yourself. Is that black on black crime?
That's right. They was arguing. They said, nah, no deal. They said, okay, we gone. So it says buying a car, what the UAW strike means and doesn't mean for auto sales. So this is via CNN. So it says now that the union, God, it's early. I'm already saying union. It's a union, but that's not the word. Let's start again. Now that the United Auto Workers strike has started, union has started a strike, the U.S. auto market is about to be thrown into turmoil all over again. Auto sales haven't entirely recovered from the scandal, but car shopping in the United States could change once more. So it says dealerships will stay open, obviously. You will still be able to shop for cars even at Ford, GM, and Stellantis dealers. They're not going to shut down as car dealerships are independent franchises that aren't owned by the company whose logo is on the building. What's more, they will still have cars to sell for a while. Most of those dealers have vehicles on hand to sell for a few weeks yet. And the current strike plans will initially impact only some of their product lines, said Jonathan Smoke, chief economist for Cox Automotive. Pause. The strike's impact will be nothing like the and the computer chip shortages that largely shut down the entire U.S. auto industry in recent years, he said. Besides, new car dealers also sell used cars, and even if the flow of new cars suddenly stops entirely, they will continue to do so. They also service cars, and their service operations will continue as well, although parts suppliers could be hampered. This is going to be fun. The auto manufacturing crises of recent years have left auto dealers better prepared to deal with disruption, said Scott Kudes. Or Codes. Sorry. Chief Operating Officer of Coons Auto and RV Group, which owns more than 40 dealerships in the Midwest. We already started to take some action a few weeks ago when it looked like the strike was pretty imminent. Coons said. We started to stock up on used vehicle inventory, especially in domestic makes and some of the hotter models. His dealers also took steps to get more new vehicles onto their lots. So it says vehicles could get more expensive. Not all automakers are facing a strike right now, not even most of them. Toyota, BMW, Hyundai, Nissan, Tesla, Volvo, and Subaru, just to name some, are still producing cars, trucks, and SUVs in the United States, and their workers are not unionized. But dealerships for the Japanese and South Korean automakers currently have always tended to have less vehicle inventory on hand than those for the Michigan-based automakers, Kuhn said. Ultimately, this could translate to pricing pressure as domestic automaker inventory start to run low and their competitors may not have the vehicles ready to pick up the demand. If the strike drags on a long time, says Tyson Germany, and industry analysis with JD Power, prices will start to rise again. They probably won't reach the levels reached during the computer chip shortages, but in the worst case, it could come close. At plants where workers aren't out on strike, production can continue for a while, or at least until all the components on hand have been used up. This includes GM, Ford, and Stellantis factories in Canada and Mexico, which could keep operating longer. But before long, production at these factories will be impacted by a lack of major components coming from U.S. factories that have been shut down, says Thomas Goldsby, professor of supply chain management at the University of Tennessee. These companies also import a few of their models from European and Asian factories that aren't impacted at all by strikes in the U.S., such as GM Chevrolet Trailblazer made in South Korea and Stellantis' Italian-built Dodge Hornet. They lied to you. They have lied to you for years. They tell you it's American-made. They lied to you. It is all a lie. In the wake of coffee venereal disease related manufacturing slowdowns, more car buyers had turned to factory ordering their new vehicles rather than just picking up from whatever was already on dealers' lots. It's good for consumers who could get prices precisely suited to their wants and needs. Car makers like it too because any company would rather make products that are already sold before they leave the assembly line. But if you want to do that now, or you already did order a vehicle that hasn't been built yet, you could be waiting longer. While pickup truck inventories are well stocked, says Jomini, they will run down if the strikes go on a long time. And truck buyers, being especially brand loyal, will probably just wait it out rather than shopping for competitive models like the Toyota Tundra or Nissan Frontier. Before the strike started, auto dealerships had reasonably healthy inventories of new vehicles, according to Michelle Krebs, an analyst with AutoTrader. That's good, especially for dealerships affiliated with these automakers. That means they'll still have vehicles to sell for a few weeks, but as the strike wears on, the choices available will start to dwindle. As the options dwindle, you could try making a deal on one of the ugly duckling vehicles left hanging around on the showroom floor. Or maybe it's just not exactly the color you want, but hey, close enough. Yeah. I wonder, though, did the White House say anything? We're going to find out. Blacklight Revelations, good morning. Brooklyn Queen, good morning. Dominic Wright, good morning. Curly Girl, good morning. And Call Light Personality, good morning. Yeah, let's find out. Because, we got to go to Twitter. We got to see. Hey, wait, you know what? We don't even have to go to Twitter. Wait a minute. We're not even going to go to Twitter. We're going to do this live. We're going to do it live. See, we're going to put in White House auto workers strike. I want to see what their official position is. Ooh, Biden talked to them. I bet you they're going to tell me this is a paywall, right? Ooh, they're going to let me read it. Ooh, they're going to let me read it. Yay. No. Fuck you. No, I don't want to pay for your shit. Leave me alone. Oh, you bastards. No. Okay, let's see how far I can get. So it says Biden speaks with UAW president, auto executives ahead of strike deadline. So he's not a very good negotiator. This is what I'm hearing and what I'm reading and what I'm seeing. Damn it. And I said his name. Shit. I gotta figure out a name for him so I don't have to say his name. Where is my clip? I should have been prepared. There's my clip.
Insult to my existence.
All right, so it says both sides face 11:59 p.m. Detroit deadline for a new deal. Strike threatens to upend supply chains, raise car prices. Supply chains. He's been in office for 3 years and has not fixed the supply chain, or at least most of it, in different sectors. But this is your president, right? All right. Those are two ugly white men. Get off my screen. So it says President Joe Biden spoke with United Auto Workers President Sean Fain and executives from Detroit's 3 legacy automakers as they approach a Thursday night deadline for a deal that would prevent a strike, the White House said. The White House said Biden discussed with union and company leaders the status of ongoing negotiations, but didn't provide specifics on the conversations. Of course not. Fain is preparing to hit the auto markets. General Motors, Ford Motor Company, and Stellantis NV with targeted walkouts at strategic locations in several states if they don't reach an agreement by 11:59 p.m. Thursday in Detroit. The contentious labor negotiations between the union and automakers have placed Biden in a difficult situation politically. He has regularly called himself the most pro-union president in American history and highlights his efforts to strengthen organized labor. Yet his push to transition the country to electric vehicles is at the center of the negotiation, with unions worried that it could lead to job cuts and lower pay in favor of non-union car companies such as Tesla. Biden has avoided work stoppages in other industries, including securing a deal for freight rail workers and seeing an agreement between dock workers and terminal operators for West Coast ports. The auto industry negotiations pose a new test for his pro-union credentials and threaten to deliver a blow to supply chains and the economy if the two sides fail to reach an agreement by the deadline. The administration is preparing for the potential fallout from a strike, which could lead to higher car prices and inflict financial damage on industry suppliers. A 10-day strike would likely cost $5.6 billion in lost output and push swing state Michigan into recession, according to the Anderson Economic Group. Okay, let's ask the question of the family. Yes. There's still union workers here in America. Yes, there are. Jay Fields, good morning. Satan, no, that's too good for him. No. We must find a name. Hey, you know what? I got a perfect idea. If you have not joined my Discord, yes, I created a Discord. Put the name of the person in there. What we're going to call him. And the best one I will use. So we do that. As the Thursday night deadline approached, automakers began sharing more details on the negotiations. GM Chief Executive Officer Mary Barra, in a letter to employees, detailed the proposed 20% pay raise over the contract period. While the terms are up from a previous offer of 18%, they are still short of the 36% sought by the union. Oh, that's what they're going to make me pay. You're smart. They want 36% pay raise. All right. Get your coins. Get your coins. We ain't hating. Get your coins. All right. So yeah, if you're in the market for a new American car, yeah, you got a little bit of time. Go get that. If not, yeah, if you really want one, they're not gonna have too much for you. Or you might have to get one of the EVs, and I don't think y'all want any of the EVs. They sound like pussy cars. I shouldn't have said that.
Bro, what you on?
But anyway, we continue. Hunter. Dope boy Biden. That's what we finna call him. Dope boy Biden. Dope boy Biden has been in the news for about 3 years, ever since the laptop, and now all his stuff with Burisma and the Ukrainians. All of that. He gets indicted on gun charges. Gun charges. But they say they don't have a case. So let's read. ABC News. Hunter Biden's lawyer says gun statute unconstitutional, case will be dismissed. The attorney for President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, who's facing felony gun charges, said Friday that the statute is likely unconstitutional and he expects the case will be dismissed before trial. On the facts, we think we'll have a defense, Abe Lowell told ABC News' George Stephanopoulos in an interview on Good Morning America. That is an ugly white man. Lord have mercy. The younger Biden has been indicted by special counsel David Weiss on 3 felony gun charges, bringing renewed legal pressure on him after a plea agreement he struck with prosecutors imploded in recent months. And he said it's a developing story. But let's see. Let's see if there's any updates. Ooh, MSN got a good one. Let's see what they talking about. Let's see what they... ABC News again. They had to put a special report from ABC News. Let's see what they're saying. Fair use.
Dan, you heard Pierre bring up that point that in his years of covering the Justice Department and now Hunter Biden's team making this point that this is a very rare charge to bring forward. How rare is it? Have you been able to find, in looking at other cases, anything similar?
I haven't been able to find anything that matches this based on the same set of facts. And what do I mean by that? I mean where there were no other crimes committed by the defendant, that the gun was not used in a crime, right? That's another key factor, that the defendant had no criminal record, and it was just one gun. That is incredibly unusual to charge someone with this crime in connection with those sets of facts. Now, remember, this was initially connected to the tax case. And one of the reasons that the plea deal fell apart was because the judge was saying, well, I don't understand the connection between the deal you're making on this gun charge and the plea on the tax cases. Meaning, as Pierre pointed out, this wasn't really a plea deal with regard to the gun charge that they had made. It was what's called a non-prosecution agreement. It was basically saying, if you adhere to certain things, if you stay off drugs, if a list of requirements, if you are able for a certain period of time to achieve that, we will not prosecute you. That's different than a plea deal, which was the case with regard to the tax crimes. And that's why the judge ended up saying, I don't understand what you think my role is with regard to the gun case. And the fundamental reason that the plea deal fell apart was with regard to whether Hunter Biden could be charged with any crimes in the future. So that deal falls apart. Now you're seeing the first, result of that deal falling apart, which is this new charge, unusual charge based on the very fact-specific case at issue. But it's a very serious one. By the way, more serious than the tax cases. This is a felony here. Tax cases were misdemeanors.
Very serious felony charges, you point out, 3 counts. And Dan, if it is this rare, why do you suppose the special counsel moved forward here?
Well, look, that's to some degree a loaded question, right? Because some
He just glitched. I like it though.
And if it is this rare, why do you suppose the special counsel moved forward here?
Well, look, that's to some degree a loaded question, right? Because some people would say, the Hunter Biden team would say, politics. David Weiss was under enormous pressure. He had to do this. The other way you could look at this is to say that when a plea deal falls apart, one of the results of that can be that the book gets thrown at the person. That we had an agreement in place. You don't want to finish up with our plea agreement. Okay, fine. We're going to then throw the book at you on every possible charge that we could have. So it definitely depends on how you look at it, but there's no doubt that Hunter Biden's team has a legitimate argument about how rare this is. The question is going to be, as a legal matter, do they have a legitimate argument that non-prosecution agreement should stand now? They're basically saying it was signed. It was sealed. It's done. You can't take it back. The government is saying not true because the judge rejected it, and they say that's enough to move forward. And, most lawyers, I think, believe the special counsel probably has the better argument, but it's a legitimate argument that the Hunter Biden team is going to make.
Interesting.
Want to bring in our chief legal?
Well, now that we're going to turn to.
Interesting. What do y'all think about that, family? Oh, man. J Field said the splaining is off the charts when it comes to them folks. Shaking my head. Oh, yeah. Well, we know that. But, it's tough for, the average black person to understand what the folk be talking about when they be on these news shows. I guess this is why they don't listen to it. So we have translated what them white folks be talking about. And because, this is what we do. This is what we do at New Black Media. We translate for them folk. So we have the translation here.
It's a round. It's a rap for you round. And a rap for your round. I'll let a round rap around every rap around till it's rap around. This rap around. I'll rap around a round rap. I'll let a round rap around round. How you gonna get around that?
Studies have shown once you hear white people splain and then you play that, you get a better understanding. Again, the Democrats are going to come outside today on this. Corinne, she's already written her script, and she's going to explain what's going on. It's going to sound like this.
Do not get off the bus. You are being lied to.
That's what they're going to be telling their people. Don't get off the bus. We're still here for you. Joe is still going to have your back. I'll see the clip.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up.
2024 is going to be so much fun, family. So much fun. You know what? I got a little bit of time too. Y'all want to do a bonus story? Well, a bonus deep dive? Would y'all like that? Give me a one if you want that too. You like, let's get the fuck off the computer and go do something with your life. Let me know how y'all feel. Because I got something that might be of interest to y'all. Might be of interest. Let me pull it up. Just in case y'all want some of this action. See if I could get it. Dun 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 do da do da. Where the hell is it? Ah, here it is. Here it is. Where's those pictures? You bastard. Where's those pictures? I need that picture. Need the picture. Where's the picture? You do not have the picture. Why did you take down the picture? Damn it. No, the picture's in here somewhere. Let me see. It's here somewhere. It's a rap for you around. Damn. They took it down. Fuck. Oh, so you have some ones. Okay. Hey. Now, for those who listen to Professor Black Truth, shout out to Professor Black Truth. Wherever you are, sir, I hope you are getting that much needed rest. Him, Jason, I touched on it before. Blacklight, I'm sure, has touched on it before. Something called the Federalist Society. The Federalist Society is one of these white supremacist think tanks that they want to go back to the early days of liberty, which essentially means they want us back in chains. Nothing wrong with that. You're allowed your opinion. But it's going to be very pivotal for 2024. Because what you see on the screen, family, yeah, there's the Federalist Society's logo. I didn't make this up. I didn't Photoshop this. You see who's on the screen. That's right. Ramen noodles. Did you know, family, that ramen noodles was a contributor to the Federalist Society? Oh, yes. But you know what? We're going to help the family. We're going to help the family. For those who don't understand what the Federalist Society is, we're going to give them a quick history lesson on the Federalist Society. And like I said, it's a white supremacist think tank that is been operating for decades. Now it says the Federalist Society for Law and Public Policy Studies, or FedSoc, is an American conservative and libertarian legal organization that advocates for a contextualist and originalist interpretation of the U.S. Constitution. Originalist. What does originalist mean? In the context of United States law, originalism is a theory of constitutional interpretation that asserts that all statements in the Constitution must be interpreted based on the original understanding. So remember, family, when they created the Constitution, we were not part of it. They gonna put y'all back in chains. Yeah. The Federalist Society was founded in 1982 by a group of students from Yale Law School, Harvard Law School, and the University of Chicago Law School. That is a nice fucking building. That is a nice fucking building. Why do I bring this up? Well, like I said, old Vivek like cake was a contributor. They love them some Vivek. Do you all want to know how much they love Vivek? Family. They let Vivek give the keynote speech at last year's Missouri's chapters conference. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Would you like to hear him babble? I know you don't, but we might find some gems in here. We might find some gems. Let's go.
Door of the market to actually address a revival of an aspect of American culture that I think we're all circling around, even on that last panel with.
I have a question, family. I have a question. How do you go to a Capitol building anywhere in this country and you wear this? I have a question. What is this? What is he wearing? What is this? So you walking around all now with suits on. You're a businessman, so you in suits all day. This is how you showed up. This is how you're representing the Federalist Society. All right. Here we go. He's going to get the babbling. Let's go.
Debates that ultimately have trade-offs with how we address them through law and public policy, but may actually be more parsimoniously addressed through the market, which is actually a place that I've landed myself in the last 6 months of the journey that you just heard described in that introduction. That being said, let me talk a little bit about the focus of what I've been writing about over the course.
Where is your wedding ring, sir? You're married. Where's your wedding ring? I had that just bothered me. Where's your wedding ring, sir? All right.
the last year and then lay out what I view as, I think, a better way forward to address the cultural issues at the core of this new woke epidemic. I think that one of the things they teach you in biology is that in order to understand the root causes of a cancer, you have to first understand a cancer. You have to first understand the root causes of that cancer. And I think the root causes of the modern secular religion, which says that your identity is based on your race, your gender, and your sexual orientation, actually traces its origins not to the 21st century, where we've seen this perpetuate itself in our schools and other aspects of our culture, but rather through to the 20th century, to the two most toxic ideologies of the 1900s. And to me, those began on the other side of the Atlantic. Those were the philosophies of German Nazism, which was identity politics on steroids, and Soviet Marxism, which was an oppressed narrative on steroids.
Okay, so he's already wrong, number one. Sir, you do know that them N-words actually got their ideologies from over here. You do know this. You're a lawyer, so you should be a student of history. You do know that the N-words, and we're talking about the NAZIs, they got their identity politics on steroids, like you said. They got it from the white supremacists here. You should read some more books. What was the other thing you said? I'm sorry.
The 1900s. And to me, those began on the other side of the Atlantic. Those were the philosophies of German Nazism, which was identity politics on steroids, and Soviet Marxism, which was an oppressed narrative on steroids.
Oppressed. Again, where did they get that from? Where did they get that from? Right. They got it from the slave masters. But see, he does not want to talk about it. Boy, hey, I guess you can't be that intelligent to be president. All right.
You combine the two, and you get their modern love child, as I call it, of wokeism here on American soil. And this is a new
So we're the modern. So basically, we all know that woke means black. That's just a euphemism for black. We know this. So they're basically saying that us being aware of what's going on, being so in tune with nature, and understanding how the world moves so intricately, that came from the Germans and the Russians.
secular religion in our country whose belief system centers on the idea that your identity is based on your race, your gender, and your sexual orientation. That if you're black, you're inherently disadvantaged. That if you're white, you're inherently privileged. Crucially, no matter your economic background or your upbringing, that's where it parts ways with 20th century Marxism. Your race and your gender is what govern who you are and the thoughts and ideas you're allowed to have. And I think it's really important that we look at this new philosophy with clear eyes that don't put words in the other side's mouth, but really take the other side at their own word for what this new ideology represents. And so I wrote this book, Woke Inc., last year that went on to be a New York Times bestseller or something like this. There's a much more successful book than mine, a much more successful New York Times bestseller by the name of How to Be an Anti-Racist, authored by Ibram Kendi. And early in his book, he lays out what's really the core thesis of the book. The idea that the remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination, that the remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination. Agree or not, that's what the anti-racist movement claims as a core tenet of what it actually stands for today. So at least we can understand what the claim is before we debate it. Or the claims of Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, a member of the squad in Congress, who famously said that we don't want any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice, that we don't want any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice, full stop. Again, agree or not, we can first understand the essence of the claim before actually debating its merits. And I think embedded in that new worldview is...
Okay, I don't like Ayanna Pressley, but she's technically right. We've been saying this for years. We're tired of people trying to advocate for us, talking about they're for us, and then they go in front of people, and instead of pushing our interests, they try to pull some bullshit. That's technically, she's right. I mean, she's still a coon, but we have to give her respect on that. And she's also right. Y'all have way too many brown people that swear up and down they love you, and then in front of get white, and then as soon as they get in front of white people, they pull their pants down because they like it when they talk. Because to white folk, they're exotic, and then y'all get y'all stuff messed up. But Yeah, I could be wrong. Whatever.
Is an intellectual move that's really interesting. And I think it's one that we ought to see with clear eyes. It says that your race, your racial identity, is no longer about the color of your skin, about your melanin count, but it's about the content of the thoughts and ideas that you're allowed to have. And this isn't just an accident of an Ayanna Pressley quote. I think it's a core tenet of the new postmodern identity movement. Actually, there was a famous protest to Peter Thiel's speech at the RNC a few years ago, saying that it was offensive to call Peter Thiel gay just because he happened to be attracted to men, and he was a man who was attracted to men, because gay meant more.
Whoa, sir! What did you just say? Say that again.
Protest to Peter Thiel's speech at the RNC a few years ago, saying that it was offensive to call Peter Thiel gay just because he happened to be attracted to men.
Ooh, let's talk about Peter Thiel, sir. Let's talk about Peter Thiel. Now, Peter Thiel is what I like to dub the George Soros of the right. Oh, yes. He's the George Soros of the right. He's a kingmaker. German American. Philanthropist. Political activist, venture capitalist, whatever you want to call him. Hey, Vivek, I have a question. I think the family would like to ask this question. Sir? Nah, Lux, you got to do it. You got to come in. I know it's early up in Harlem, but I need you to come outside for a second.
Get that water. He about to get this work. He about to get this work.
Vivek, I know you don't want to come over here. I know, because I told you, you come over here within an hour, you going to call up Trisha and you going to end your campaign next week. We already know this. But I have a question for you. I think the family has a question for you. You just talked about Peter Thiel. Why is he backing your campaign, even though you try to make it seem like it's you doing it and you're getting the money from the people? You know, you claim you're a political insider all day, every day, twice on Sunday, 4 times on a holiday, except Juneteenth, because you don't like that. But the UK, you know, them people across the pond, across the Atlantic, like you said, they found out that Peter Thiel and Leonard Leo, you are their bottom. I don't care no more, family. He ain't gonna come over here, so I don't care no more. I'm just gonna let it. I've embraced villainy with him at this point. I'm just gonna go in on him now. Yeah. Deep ties to right-wing kingpins. This was back in August 25th, so about 3 weeks ago. Remember when I said that after that Breakfast Club interview that everything was gonna start coming out? Shout out to Tesla and Figaro. Black woman took you down, started the ball rolling. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go. Vivek Ramaswamy has described himself as an outsider, accusing rivals for the Republican presidential nomination of being bought and paid for by donors and special interests. But the 38-year-old Ohio-based venture capitalist who sharp-elbowed and angry display stood on the Hey, Rob, do you see this here? Remember when we both said that he did not come off right? He got his whole car pulled and he didn't know how to react. He started getting angry. We always say when he does these interviews, he get angry when people confront him. Bam. Even the news has to say, damn, he is emotional. I like it. I like it a lot. Angry display stood out in the first Republican debate this week. Has his own close ties to influential figures from both sides of the political aisle. Prominent among such connections are Peter Thiel, the co-founder of tech giants PayPal and Palantir, and a right-wing mega donor, and Leonard Leo, the activist who has marshaled unprecedented sums in his push to stock federal courts with conservative judges. It gets better, family. Rob, this has to do with you. Ramaswamy is a Yale Law School friend of J.D. Vance, the author of the best-selling memoir Hillbilly Elegy, who enjoyed success in finance before entering politics. At Yale, Vance and Ramaswamy attended what the New Yorker called an intimate lunch seminar for select students that was hosted by Thiel. Last year, backed by Thiel and espousing hard-right Trumpist views, Vance won a U.S. Senate seat in Ohio. Bang. What did we say? Didn't I tell y'all last year that Stacey Abrams, and others have told you this, Stacey Abrams was being groomed from high school? Vivek Ramaswamy showing up to talk to Al Sharpton was not random. The man was planted. I said this months ago when I showed y'all that article from Span Magazine. What was the name of the site? Span.state.gov. The man has been known in political circles for over 50, we'll give him 2 decades. They knew exactly who he was. Select students were invited to an intimate lunch seminar, and I bet you the food was good. Thiel has since said he has stepped back from political donations. Bullshit. But he has backed Ramaswamy's business career, supporting what the New Yorker called a venture helping senior citizens access Medicare, and last year backing Strive Asset Management, a fund launched by Ramaswamy to attack environmental, societal, and governance (ESG) policies among corporate investors. Vance was also a backer. So Thiel got the receipts. So if Ramaswamy get out of line, he start dropping them receipts, incognito, of course. Ramaswamy's primary vehicle to success has been Roivant, an investment company focused on the pharmaceuticals industry founded in 2014. The Roivant Advisory Board includes figures from both the Republican and Democratic establishments. Listen to these names, family. Kathleen Sebelius, U.S. Health Secretary under Barack Obama. Tom Daschle of South Carolina, formerly Democratic leader in the U.S. Senate. And Olympia Snowe, formerly a Republican senator from Maine. Hey, Black Light, go look up Olympia Snowe one time. Tell me what you find. Ramaswamy's links to Leo, recently the recipient of a $1.6 billion donation from the industrious Bar Said, believed to be the biggest ever such gift, but now reportedly the subject of an investigation by the Attorney General of Washington, D.C. are many. As reported by ProPublica and documented, Ramaswamy has spoken at retreats staged by Ateneo, a group Leo chairs, and which aims to connect high-powered conservatives to crush liberal dominance in American life. We might have to do a show about Ateneo. Other Ateneo speakers have reportedly included Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor polling ahead of Ramaswamy in the Republican primary, and the former South Carolina governor Nikki Haley, who trails Ramaswamy and clashed with him on stage in Milwaukee. ProPublica also linked Thiel to the genesis of the Ateneo group. Ateneo, whatever the fuck. Ateneo. According to a document seen by The Guardian, Ramaswamy became a Ateneo member in 2021. Elsewhere, Ramaswamy is a board member of the Philanthropy Roundtable, a group with ties to Leo, and a member of the Federalist Society. He's not a member, he's a contributor, but Okay, unless they changed it. The Leo-driven group, which works to stock the courts with conservatives, Ramaswamy has also spoken to and received an award from the State Financial Officers Foundation, a group of Republican state treasurers. In June in South Carolina, the Post and Courier News reported that last year, before launching his presidential bid, Ramaswamy attempted, quote, to leverage his Republican connections to gain access for Strive to lucrative contracts to manage pension funds with total assets of $39.6 billion. He's such a political outsider, right? Similar pushes were mounted in Missouri and Indiana, the paper said. Curtis Loftus, the South Carolina state treasurer, told the Post and Courier there was nothing improper about such approaches. Asked about Ramaswamy's claims to be an outsider in light of his links to right-wing donors, activists, and establishment figures, a campaign spokesperson, probably Tricia, told The Guardian, quote, Vivek has lived the American dream and has had tremendous success in business. Right, that's why many of his businesses failed, right? Just like Trump. There's a colossal difference between someone who has friendships and business relationships with wealthy individuals and politicians who change their policies and positions to please their super PAC donors, they added. Ooh, here we go. In the Wisconsin debate, Ramaswamy flourished in the absence of Donald Trump, the former U.S. president who faces 91 criminal charges, but nonetheless leads Republican polling by huge margins. Amid speculation that Ramaswamy might end up Trump's running mate, Reed Galen, a Republican operative turned co-founder of the anti-Trump Lincoln Project, called Ramaswamy a classic 2020s American tech bro bullshit artist, Trump for the 21st century. Shit. A bullshit artist. Shit. Oh man, I like it. I like it. We ain't even finna read no more. I want to go back to this video. I'm gonna put the link of the article in the chat. Man, they called him a bullshit artist. Hey, you can't bullshit a South Asian bullshit artist.
And he was a man who was attracted to men because gay meant more than who you were attracted to on the basis of your sexual orientation. It was a political identity that stood for the content of the views that you were supposed to espouse, and so forth. And so that's actually what rests at the heart of this new ideology, is conflating the characteristics that you inherit on the day that you're born with the content of the viewpoints that you're ultimately allowed to have. And I think that lies at the heart of what makes dissent so difficult in this new cultural environment, because we also live in a moment where there is no greater damnation than to be called a racist. So if your race is no longer about your skin color, but represents the content of your political beliefs, then by definition, any disagreement with those political beliefs leaves you vulnerable to the allegation of racism. And because there is no greater damnation than to be called a racist, that puts a lot of everyday Americans in the position of having to choose between bending the knee to that new religion or being tarred with the scarlet R. And when faced with that choice, everyday Americans are choosing to bend the knee. And I think that's what's created the greatest threat to our culture of free speech. It's not a legal assault on free speech, the kind of thing our founding fathers may have been concerned about 2.5 centuries ago. It is a cultural threat to the culture of free speech in our country, where a new culture of fear has eroded the norm of free speech in our country, whereby in the name of diversity, we've actually completely sacrificed true diversity of thought. In the name of inclusion, we've created an exclusionary culture where certain points of view just aren't welcome. In the name of democracy, we've actually eroded the very democratic norms of free speech and open debate that define what it means to be living in a worthy democracy. Actually, one of the things, if you ask me, about the best measure of the health of any democracy, it actually isn't the number of ballots that are cast every November. That's just fetishizing the final act at the end of the process. It is the percentage of people who actually feel free to express their true beliefs in public. And to me, there's no doubt that on that metric, we're doing abysmally today. There's data to back it up. In fact, there's a recent survey conducted by the Cato Institute. We found that over 60% of Americans, that included Republicans, Democrats, and independents in the survey, 6 out of 10 of them said that they were afraid of expressing their true beliefs in public because of the current political environment.
What?
Personally, I can't remember a time in my life as an American born 36 years ago where there was a greater difference between what people were willing to express in private and what people were willing to say publicly. And to me, that is not America. That is not the country, certainly, that my parents came halfway across the world to join. It isn't the country that we want to see America become. But there's a challenge in all of this for groups like those of us in this room that have public policy available to us as a vehicle to drive the kind of cultural and social change for the better that has brought us to where we are, but addressing threats that are fundamentally cultural rather than legal in their origin, at least in the first order. And that's kind of the dilemma that I'm going to spend the balance of the hour talking about. And before I get there, I think it's worth...
Look at all them white people.
tracing the history. I heard the last panel of how some of these culturally oppressive philosophies, I think it's fair to call.
Where the rest of these people at? You figure this room would have been full. Where's the rest of these people? They left water bottles on the table. This motherfucker just writing shit. He not even paying attention. This motherfucker not looking. All right, this white man looking. This chick is looking. She look Asian. Yeah, say less.
Call them culturally oppressive philosophies, went from being fringe theories in the academy, in the halls of a liberal arts university. What was that caused those ideas to transcend the boundaries of academia to actually become mainstream in modern political discourse? Wokeness, when it was born, was about fundamentally challenging prevailing orthodoxies. Derek Bell, as a critical race theorist, was challenging a prevailing orthodoxy. And agree or not, there's something about that that actually can respect, about somebody who's willing to stand up to the system of their era. But the story that's more interesting today is when this new narrative of critical theory went from being about challenging the system to actually quietly becoming the system. And because part of the solutions I'm going to talk about actually relate to solutions that drive their way through the market, I'm actually going to trace one of the origin stories that begins.
Nah, Blacklight. This is at the Missouri State Capitol. This ain't a think tank.
In the market as well, that dates back to the 2008 financial crisis. So the 2008 financial crisis, most of you may remember it. I remembered it because my first job was in New York City in 2007 on the eve of the 08 crisis. Back after the 08 crisis, we lived in a moment where big business had just gone in this country from being viewed as the bad guys, or as the guys who brought prosperity, to then being viewed as the bad guys in the back of the 08 financial crisis. And for good reason, in some measure. I think that we can debate the policies of...
What are you talking about? Wall Street has been getting hammered with bullshit since the 70s. What are you talking about? What kind of businessman is this? He doesn't even know the history of business. Wall Street's been the enemy since the 70s. Shit. If I really want to get technical, it's been that way since slavery, but we're just keeping modern. They've been on the hook since the damn hell. I could even go back to the 60s. What is he talking about? The financial crisis, yeah, it irrevocably damaged their perception, but their perception was already fucked up. The inflation of the 70s, the 80s with the... I bet y'all didn't know that Wall Street was making hella money off them RICO charges with Reagan, but that's another subject for another day. The 90s where everybody was prospering, but we already knew that was eventually going to crash. The 2000s, what happened? We had inflation, high inflation again, but we had the recession as well. And then when he was just talking about with the financial crisis, that was hell. I forgot about the 89 stock market crash. It is what it is. But him saying that, he's making it seem like just 08 was like when everybody just said, fuck it, we hate big business. All right, bro. You got it.
Government-fueled bailouts, but ultimately what we had was a period of time where a lot of bankers made a lot of money when time was good. And then they went to ultimately getting bailed out at the public fisc when times went bad. So understandably, a lot of people on the left, and a lot of people on the right, myself included, had some issues with that instantiation of capitalism, which was really just another form of crony capitalism in disguise. So what happened was you had the Occupy Wall Street movement that was born that had a new demand that said that actually this system is broken. The thing that we need to do is to take money from all those wealthy corporate fat cats and redistribute it to poor people to help poor people. Agree or not, that is what the old left had to say. But there was the birth of this new woke left right around the same time that had a slightly different theory of the case. They said that actually the real problem wasn't quite economic injustice, as I alluded to earlier. No, it was racial injustice and misogyny and bigotry. And my view is that actually presented the opportunity of a generation for big business in this country to go from being the bad guys in the moment to actually becoming the good guys if they simply said the right things. Applaud diversity and inclusion. Put some token minorities on your boards. Muse about the racially disparate impact of climate change after you fly in a private jet to Davos. This is actually pretty good work if you can get it. But crucially, they didn't do it for free. They were happy to lend their money and lend, more importantly, their legitimacy to this new set of ideas. But they didn't do it for free. They're effective.
Why should they? That's capitalism. Why should they? Just like big business took YOLO away from Drake. Why should they do it for free? How about you give away your medicines for free? How about that? I mean, let us know, bro.
effective demand in return was that the new left looked the other way when it came to leaving their own corporate power structures intact, because the old left was actually the biggest political threat to, let's just say, banking institutions in this country from the political perspective. But now, if the old left agreed to look the other way, that would ultimately be a grand bargain, a sort of Faustian bargain for each party, an arranged marriage for two parties that didn't necessarily love each other. They might have mutually disdained one another, but they were able to each get something out of the trade. That's how this new trend of so-called woke capitalism was born. A bunch of big banks got in bed with a bunch of woke millennials. Together, they birthed woke capitalism, and they used that to put Occupy Wall Street up for adoption. And that trade worked sufficiently well that other segments of the American business class started to get in on the act. I think Silicon Valley followed suit, where, again, they recognized that the historical threats to monopoly power used to come from the political left. But that if they could use their monopoly power, their set of corporate power, to service the ends of the left itself, they could use it to effectively defang the threats that they used to face, because the right was ultimately bound by their orthodoxies that say the free market can do no wrong and really can't come back punitively on their own terms. So what Silicon Valley realized is that they could use their monopoly power to censor, or in their language, moderate content that certain parts of the left found offensive. But again, they didn't do it for free. They effectively expected that the new woke left would look the other way when it came to leaving their own monopoly power intact. And again, it worked masterfully for both sides. That's the story of this arranged marriage. Not a marriage of love, but more like mutual prostitution. And the net result of that act was the birth of a new Leviathan, a new force in modern American life, what I call the woke industrial complex, that is far more powerful than big government or big business alone, because together it can do what neither one of them can do on its own. And by the way, the rest of corporate America jumped right into getting on the act. Coca-Cola issuing new statements about a voting law in Georgia that make it sound more like a super PAC than a soft drink manufacturer, teaching its employees internally in its trainings how to be less white, to say nothing of its own role and its product's own role in fueling the nationwide epidemic of diabetes and obesity, including, by the way, in the black community they profess to care so much about. Or Nike, condemning slavery 250 years ago to no end, while doing nothing to reduce their reliance on slave labor today to produce $250 sneakers that they sell to black kids in the inner city who can't afford to buy books for school.
So black people are the only ones wearing Nike, sir. See what I mean? Yeah, fam, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? He always got to try to take shots at us. Bro, we're not the only people in this world that buy Nikes. So let me get this straight. So, okay, the NBA is mostly Nike. We'll go with your assertion, because that's where you were really going. What about tennis? Because there's tennis players that they're not black that wear Nike. Should I have to? Okay, I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you. Because you just think that Nike is automatically black. Okay, we'll do it for you. We'll do it for you. Here you go, sir. Top 10 most influential Nike sponsored athletes. Now, this was back in 2021, so of course the list has changed. So let's see. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak. We'll just say that. I ain't fixing to say his last name. Okay. Russell Wilson. Okay. Chris Paul. So we have Russell Wilson in football, but okay, you didn't want to say that. Carmelo Anthony. Okay. Russell Westbrook. Okay. Tiger Woods. The one of the greatest golfers ever. Team Nike. You didn't say nothing about that. And I don't see too many inner city black kids buying golf cleats, but okay. Golf shoes, whatever the fuck. Rafael Nadal, that's not a black man, sir. It's not a black man. One of the greatest tennis players ever. That's not a black man. But all right. Kevin Durant, LeBron James. Who? LeBron James is number 2, sir. Number 2. Number 2. So who's number 1? Well, goddamn, Cristiano Ronaldo in soccer. A sport that eclipses basketball on the world stage. He has the largest Instagram following of over 270 million followers in the world, and by far the most influential athlete Nike has on their books. Like LeBron James, Ronaldo also signed a lifetime contract with Nike worth over $1 billion, signed in 2016. Ronaldo has worn well over 68 cleats for Nike, with his vast fan base generating as much as $474 million for Nike in 2018. With Ronaldo being one of the world's greatest influencers on social media, it's safe to say that he generates way more revenue for Nike than any other athlete on this list. Yeah. Jacqueline Johnson, good morning. Yeah. Because black kids are the only ones wearing Nikes at $250. He don't even know how much. Oh, God. I get it. You want to try to relate. I get it. Where is your team that is telling you what to say when you go out here?
That is how this new game is played. And it is a new force that is far more powerful than what Thomas Hobbes envisioned 400 years ago. It is a new force that is far more powerful than what our own founding fathers envisioned 250 years ago. And it was distorted by a new force that supercharged it in the last few years in particular. And this is a new actor who actually showed up on the scene and turned this bilateral arranged marriage into a three-party affair. That's the Communist Party of China, actually. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. What I'm going to describe to you is actually available in plain sight, so long as we're willing to look. What the Communist Party of China has understood is that actually this new marriage between the new progressive left and big business in America presented a geopolitical opportunity of a generation that they have, in the last couple of years in particular, exploited and exploited serially. We'll see its exploitation on display in the coming weeks during the upcoming Winter Olympics in Beijing. The way it works is that they've recognized that they can attack us not from the outside, but from within by eroding our greatest geopolitical asset of all. That's not our nuclear arsenal. It is our moral standing on the global stage by effectively co-opting America's most venerated institutions to actually do their own bidding from within. So if you have any doubt about that, I'd encourage you to listen really carefully to what Xi Jinping has begun to say in recent years. As most of you are probably aware, China is in the midst of perpetrating one of the greatest human rights atrocities committed by a major nation since the Third Reich of Germany.
Right. And a year later, you said this in 2022, and a year later you joined TikTok. So I don't think you really care that much about the Uyghur Muslims. You spent a whole year shitting on China, and you went and joined ByteDance, a Chinese company. Yeah. I don't think you, yeah. Okay. Oh, by the way, Muslims. I know you're Hindu, but that's your cousins. Yeah. 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 That's your cousins. I know they're Turkish, but they're your cousins. That's that area. I ain't hear you say nothing, no. I don't hear you say nothing. But I'm gonna shut up.
Germany in what they're doing in the Xinjiang province to a population of religious minorities known as the Uyghurs, who are enslaved by the million plus in concentration camps, subject to forced sterilization, communist indoctrination, and worse. And yet,
How much you want to bet they'll get reparations when they get freed? How much you want to bet?
when Xi Jinping is now pressed by the EU or the UN, every time the first thing he says is that Black Lives Matter shows that the United States is no better. This is not an accident. Less than a year ago, his top diplomat came right here to the Alaska summit, right here to the United States to the Alaska summit, and in his opening statement, criticized the United States slaughtering, that is his word, slaughtering of Black Americans, and that he demanded that on behalf of China, he wanted to see the US do better on human rights. This would be laughable if it weren't for the fact that our own corporations are actually lending implicit moral credibility to his claim. In his opening statement, criticized the United States slaughtering, that is his word, slaughtering of Black Americans, and that he demanded that on behalf of China, he wanted to see the US do better on human rights. This would be laughable if it weren't for the fact that our own corporations are actually lending implicit moral credibility to his claims.
Do you think we take what Xi Jinping said seriously?
Disney, just a couple of years ago, says that it could not shoot a film in the state of Georgia if they passed the equivalent of a heartbeat bill, a new anti-abortion statute. Yet just last year, it goes to Mulan, at literally ground zero of the Uyghur human rights crisis, and films the entire movie there without compunction until the very end of the movie, where they finally muster up the courage, in the credits to the film, you can see it today, to thank the local CCP authorities in Shenzhen for allowing them the privilege of filming there. That's Disney. The NBA is far worse, regularly decrying racial injustice here at home, continuing to expand into the Chinese market abroad. LeBron James, a top star from my home state in Ohio, a few years ago, was the first person to come to China's public defense when Daryl Morey of the Houston Rockets tweeted, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong." LeBron James ended up condemning what Daryl Morey had to say on behalf of Hong Kong and came to China's defense, as did Nike, as did the ownership of the Houston Rockets, as did other NBA stars. You might ask yourself why it is that these companies and their hired celebrities do it. The answer is actually quite simple. It's the same answer it came down to before, except here it's in an international context. It comes down to money. Because if you're an American corporation who wants to access the Chinese market, it turns out that China builds a great Chinese wall that prevents you from entering the Chinese market if you criticize the CCP. But they quietly roll out the red carpet if you criticize the United States. So that is how this new game is played. They actually turned a game that we started playing in the 1990s on its head. The game we started
playing. This guy. This guy. Question. Vivek, since you hate China so much, why were you trying to expand into China, sir? Why did you try to expand into China, sir? The SEC has it. What did I tell you, family? His former employees were questioned by the SEC on violations. Sir, this is you. Is this not your company? 2019. Is this not your company? Sir, China done had the Uyghurs how long? How long? I'm just trying to figure something out. How long were the Uyghurs being targeted? I'm just saying. So couldn't have mattered that much to you. Maybe I got it wrong. Stand on it. You don't like them. John Guillory, hello. Blacklight, you calm down. You calm down. You calm down. This is you, sir. Roivant and Sinovant launch biopharma firm Cytovant Sciences. You cater to patients across Asia. Question, sir. Your Cytovant will be able to develop, manufacture, and commercialize the products in Greater China, South Korea, and Japan. Why didn't you do it in India, sir? Why didn't you do it in that area? I think we want to know that. All right. Maybe it was cheaper.
in the 1990s was the game of so-called democratic capitalism, where we thought we could use capitalism as a vector to spread democracy to places like China. We thought we could export Big Macs and Happy Meals, and somehow that was going to spread democracy. Well, they realized that they could actually turn that game on its head by saying that actually, instead of Big Macs and Happy Meals, we'll send back those Nike sneakers and Disney movies as Trojan horses to undermine the other side from within. We thought we could use our money to get them to be more like us. And what they recognized is that they could use their market power, their money, to get us to be more like them. Or one step even better, that they could use our money to get us to be more like them, which is effectively what they did from years of investment that began dating back to the 1990s. So these are flawed policies of the past, espoused both by Republicans and Democrats. And by the way, who am I to blame anyone? I was in middle school at the time, right? Or elementary school at the time. That's the past. The question is where we go from here. Now, I think that in order to solve the problem, we have to be able to see it with clear eyes. I think that there are commercial interests and geopolitical interests that have amplified what was already the burning embers of a cultural struggle from within, but have really supercharged that with the fuel, the kerosene of cynical forces on Wall Street, cynical forces in Silicon Valley, cynical forces on the global stage, principally originating in China. Question is what we do about it. And I think the answer to that question, and at the heart of the answer to that question, rests what I view as really the defining North Star for the future of the conservative movement. I'll take it back to the 1980s when we had the last major, in my opinion, redefinition of the North Star of the conservative movement when Ronald Reagan rose to power in 1980. And when Ronald Reagan took his seat, he did what he needed to do to address the principal threats to liberty and prosperity in his era, which came from big government. He cut taxes, he slashed regulations, he did what he needed to do. That's why he's one of my heroes. But I will also remind this group, as I often do to audiences I speak to, of a favorite quote from a Republican, from my favorite Republican actually, who spoke 160 years ago, not 40 years ago, when he reminded us that the dogmas of a quiet past are inadequate to address the stormy present. And what I say is that the dogmas of 1980 are inadequate to address the unique challenges that we now face in the year 2022. Back in 1980, big government may have been the single biggest threat to liberty and prosperity in this country. Today, it is not. It is only half the story. It is a new hybrid of big government and big business that is far more powerful than either one alone. I actually am drawn to one of the founding creeds. I believe it is the founding creed of the Federalist Society itself, dating back to 1983, I believe. And if I'm going to get this right, I think what the founders of the Federalist Society said was a simple statement that sounds banal if you hear it without pausing, but there's real depth to it that meets the moment that we're in today. I think what it said, you guys may know better than I, is that the state exists to preserve liberty. Did I get that about right? The state exists to preserve liberty. See, that embedded in that is a worldview that's different than a worldview that presumes that by definition, all threats to liberty originate from the state, versus a view of the state itself, whose own existence is predicated on preserving liberty itself. And I think that we live in one of those moments where we have to look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves that just because the greatest threats to liberty came exclusively from big government 40 years ago, where does that leave us today in a moment where the threats to liberty may indeed be plural?
You know what, family? I can't do it. I'm gonna play the rest tomorrow, or I might just play the rest tomorrow because I can't listen to this shit. He's making me itch right now. I can't do it. I thought I could. I can't. I gotta get ready to go to plantation soon. I gotta try to make something to eat for the wife and the baby before I go to work. No, I can't do it. I tried. We'll finish this tomorrow. Probably the same time we'll do it after I finish school online. I'll probably just come back and we'll do the part 2 of this. But this motherfucker, boy, he just get the babbling. He just got the babbling going. Why do they babble so much? Get to the point. You got an hour. All you saying you could wrap up in 15 minutes. Maybe he got paid by the hour. I don't know.
It's a round. It's a rap for you round. And a rap for your round. I'll let a round wrap around every wrap around till it's wrap around. This rap around. Cat, I'll rap around a round rap. I'll let a round rap around. How you gonna get around that?
I tried to put the translation on. It said,
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you,
We don't care.
I don't know. Bro. I don't know. I tried, bro. We'll finish it tomorrow when I have a clearer head and I can actually focus on it. But yeah, family. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go. This motherfucker is just, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck was he talking about in that last 3 minutes. I don't know what he was talking about. He was just saying some dumb shit.
Yo, fuck nuts.
That's what I wanted to tell him. Shut up. All right. Let me get up out of here, man. Jesus. All right. Y'all take care, stay safe, and you know what to do when the agents of chaos try to mess up your day.